If you had one thing you want to say, reduce the risk. How can we reduce? Someone's like, "Oh my God, yes, I have all. I'm afraid. I don't even want to know what my number would be." What would you say, or how do people handle this
Say
information?
I would say it's not a sentence, if you find out you have a high ACE score, it doesn't mean that you are sentenced to terrible health.
Oh,
It
yeah.
just gives information to know, okay, this could be this toxic stress that I've been dealing with my whole life and I didn't really know why I have it. It helps you start the journey to figure out what the stress was.
Hey, everybody. My name is Christy Walker, owner of Illume Evolve, and thank you for joining today for this time of contemplation. I'm going to be talking with Jenna Crider, introducing her here and talking a little bit about the work ACEs, what that means, and how it is impacting the wellness community. And we'll kind of tie this up at the end, hearing a little bit about more resources, how you can access this for yourself to learn more. I'll give you a moment here to check that out. Hello, I'm here with my special honored guest, Jenna Crider. Jenna, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm excited because I live in Oklahoma and a great storm is coming through right now. Thunder, lightning, rain.
Oh
It's
my
my
God.
favorite weather, and to me it just means this is going to be a super blessed podcast. So I'm excited. I'm
Love
doing
that.
great.
I love that. Oh, Jenna is one of my absolute favorite confidants. We have known each other our entire life, nearly. And we actually have shared in this whole process, healing journey, individually and coming together. And I really wanted to include you today so you could talk a little bit about the work that you are doing in your arena. So just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you're doing, and kind of the topic of ACEs today, what we'll be talking about.
Okay. Well, my name is Jenna Crider. I'm a dietitian and lactation consultant, and I've worked mainly for Women, Infants, and Children, most of my career. I continue to work with a tribal organization to help with diabetes. And I, I'm honored to be here with you. I want to start off with this because we've been on this journey together spiritually. I've seen you just stay so focused on whether we're on the phone or in person. Our encounters are focused spiritually. We meditate, we do yoga. You never skip a beat. It's just a part of the foundation of you. And you keep me accountable and keep me focused. So I just want to thank you for being a leader in this.
Yeah, you definitely are like a spirit. They say like your spirit animal, but like your spirit, like we are kindred spirits, and we just got to, in this lifetime, the honor of being actual family as well.
Yeah.
And I mean that like our lives are interwoven through so many places. And I mean, sharing genetics, we share so much together.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for you as a person, and the line of work that you've chosen to be in. And, part of this podcast, I titled it, Medicine Inner Journey. And I think I'd like for you just to talk a little bit about how the work you're doing is impacting people more on an energetic level, doing more of the deeper work, how your work is transforming and changing your community.
So I work for the Oklahoma State Department of Health, and we have a group of leaders that really wanted to bring in the ACEs work, the adverse childhood experiences. They had gotten hold of some of the research, seeing how it impacts health. Um, and we'll go into what that is in a little bit. But the leaders were asked, or supervisors of each department was asked to find people who would be interested in training on this information and dispersing it throughout the state.
Wow.
And my department asked me to do it because they know, I guess, instinctually that this is a passion of mine. And
Yeah.
so I've been trained to learn more about ACEs and teach it to those that I work with and in my community.
Wow. So what does ACEs stand for?
ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. Um, so that could mean it's kind of divided into different sections, and it's really common. It could be as simple as divorce. It could be a parent with depression. It could be abuse. It could be neglect and incarceration. So it's really common for people to have ACE, adverse childhood experiences as children, and they're finding that those who have multiple ACEs are more likely to have physical, mental, and behavioral issues as adults.
It's really interesting. And, you and I both can speak to this, and without delving too much in, what was your individual journey, that you feel like kind of, if you feel comfortable sharing, with our audience that kind of brought you into this work or you felt a calling or connection to it?
I would say just as a child, I had just kind of a heart for people that maybe I saw were in need. And then my first marriage kind of developed maybe ACEs for my own children due to divorce, his drug addiction. And so it really put a place in my heart where I really connected with it because I can relate to it and I know
Right. Yeah.
how it can families.
Yeah, and speaking, I know it's such a sensitive topic for anybody in the audience that's listening. Again, part of the inner journey, and I said this my last time, is that we come typically to this journey through pain points. And we need resources for people to know that there is a way out. So, like, how is this tool, do you think it's useful once, how is it being used to help people who, okay, we see that you have a high number, this person's at high risk for developing, let's say, heart disease, or, is that, maybe explain a little bit how you feel like it's being used?
Okay. Um, so I continue to work for the Department of WIC, who works with young families. So part of the goal is prevention of ACEs. And we know that there are certain factors that can be implemented to prevent those things. And so I teach those within WIC clinics what to look for as far as ACEs, questions to ask, referrals to make
Mm,
to hopefully prevent some of the ACEs.
no, I
And then
love.
flip side, there's adults who have already been through it. And so just connecting them with community, we know that body work such as yoga, like you teach, meditation, spirituality, those things help prevent and treat those who've been affected.
Amazing. And if anybody here wants to know or learn more about ACEs, in using it, incorporating it, maybe resources for books, what would you recommend for them to look for?
The If you want to know more about the study, the CDC was actually a part of that study. So go into the CDC website. You can simply Google ACEs study, and that's the first thing that will come up is the CDC website. Also, you and I both have read this book, The Body Keeps the Score. It
Yes.
explains how those who have been affected by ACEs, it kind of stays in their body and how to treat that. And then any book by Dr. Daniel Siegel. he
Right.
explains them in the brain.
I love that. Yeah, and I know I was telling you, I was just reading, I heard through a platform that you and I both support, To Be Magnetic. Lacey Phillips interviewed Dr. Mariel Bouquet, and she is I believe, psychologist, a PhD, who wrote the book Break the Cycle. And she's really working with intergenerational trauma, to help bring awareness, and then also the modalities like you just kind of talked about, breath work, meditation, yoga, sound healings. How can we go in and help people heal? How can, if you had one thing you want to say, reduce the risk, how can we reduce? Someone's like, oh my God, yes, I'm afraid I don't even wanna know what my number would be. What would you say, or how do people handle this
Say
information?
I would say it's not a sentence, if you find out you have a high ACE score, it doesn't mean that you're sentenced to terrible health. It
Yeah,
just gives information to know, okay, this could be this toxic stress that I've been dealing with my whole life and I didn't really know why I have it. It helps you start the journey to figure out what the stress was and
I
start
love
pin.
that.
Yes, and I'm sure you see in your line of work, um, the end result of
Yeah.
ACEs.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna say, as far as like, that's why, it's part of like my journey. I mean, Jenna, you've seen it, like even finding my way into yoga. And you can find any modality that you want. But it's a natural way, I believe, of healing the body, of going in and doing the inner work. And I love what you're doing, the community you're helping,
Thank
removing
you.
stigmatism. You're not broken. There's help, there's hope for
Yeah.
everyone. You're not, your genes alone. You're not, the result of whatever your family has or become. I mean, you can create your own life, your own pathway, but creating spaces to do that work.
Yes, breaking the
And
cycle.
break the
Yes,
cycle. Yes.
so powerful. And I do wanna say, kind of on the last line on the ACEs, I think as, citizens and just humans, kinda reframing how we see people that day to day, if they're irritating us or stressing us out, reframing maybe our thoughts of
Yeah,
what is wrong with them? Why are they driving like that? Reframing, like, I wonder what's happened to them. I wonder why they're so angry and upset. And then that's the beginning of helping our communities
I love that.
change and help them if they do have health issues because of ACEs.
I love that. I was gonna say, I'm tying the loving kindness meditation, we send it out. Number one, when you're loving and kind to yourself, and I mean, we all struggle, at different levels, but we're able to have more compassion for people around us.
Yeah.
So Jenna, thank you for being
Thank
here. And I look forward to us doing many more conversations. And
me too. This was so fun. Thank you, Christy, for having me, and thank you for helping so many of us.
so I would like to talk to you a little bit again. My name is Christy Walker. I'm a nurse practitioner, certified yoga and meditation teacher, and a passion for creating sacred spaces for inner transformation. And I'm currently working with patients in the capacity as a practitioner, but I also do teach meditation and yoga. And one of my passions right now is coming up with a retreat this year in Joshua Tree, for females, for women, a self-healing yoga retreat. So part of this work, why am I doing this work? It came out of a need of mine. I found myself after 40, going through massive shifts and change in my own life. I had survived a very difficult time through divorce, having to really find myself again, build my community, build my own self worth, value. What I was doing, what I had intended for my life looked very different than what I'd envisioned in my 20s and 30s. And part of that has been my journey, part of the journey inward, the experiences I was going through. And a lot of it, I went through a lot of coaching, um, working with multiple different coaches of all types, beginning to do breath work. I began traveling the world, doing humanitarian aid, connecting with people all over the world who had major disparities. And I think in my own life, I had come into this pain point, this high level of awareness, that I was able to connect with others who were themselves experiencing, some type of loss, deep grief or loss. So I am here to say that today I have this newfound joy and vision for my life, a deeper meaning, purpose, fulfillment, that truly has come from within. So all these experiences, I've been able to take them and go within, do my own work. And I just want to share a little bit about that, because I think that's what really does set me apart. People that I look to individually work with are people who really have maybe started that journey, and just have an interest or desire to go deeper, to harness their own, gifts, come back into, I like to say, that's congruency with themselves, connecting with their own intuitive gifts, deep sensing, having compassion for yourself. So I do believe yoga and meditation are one way inward, to do this. If anyone is just listening, I wanted to share a little bit, and kind of drop into a moment here for meditation. And I like to call this a sacred pause. So there is a Harvard brain scientist, Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, and she has researched and talked about how there is 90 seconds of time, that we have, where there is when there's a long, extended emotional response that's lasting longer than 90 seconds. That there has been documented research that there's a story attached to it. And this will tie in a little bit with the work that Jenna is going to talk about today with ACEs, these emotional embedded response that are coming within us on a cellular level. And sometimes it can be even the thought of like, why am I so upset about something? Why is this affecting me? But it can become so hardwired in us that we really struggle, to overcome, to let go, to release, to allow, much less like taking the time to actually sit down and go inward because it can feel uncomfortable. So a lot of times, doing this work, I will say just a warning, it does require time alone in reflection. So again, this emotional response, meditation is labeled sacred pause because I want to take a moment here for everyone just to quiet down and go inward for just a moment here. And we're talking about slowing down the mind, becoming an observer of your thoughts. So finding a nice tall seat, allowing your eyes to close as you arrive here into the space. And just for a few moments here, we're going to sit here and observe. So just begin to bring your gaze to a close, allowing your eyes to shift to the very back of the eyelids. Connecting here for a moment. First to the breath, noticing the coolness of the breath in through the nose, allowing the belly to rise. And then exhale, releasing, letting it go. Staying here with your breath, encouraging you for a moment just to bring your awareness right into the center of the forehead as we become a witness an observer of the mind without any judgment, just allowing whatever arises as you start to watch and observe. Imagining for a moment that your mind is a sky and each thought or expression is a cloud that is floating past. Trying not to attach, allowing each little thought to be encased like a cloud that's drifting across the sky of your mind. Now beginning here to release the thoughts, coming back to the breath. Inhaling, breathing in, and exhale, releasing, open mouth. Coming back here into the present moment. And so just coming back to this for a moment here, and if anyone is familiar with meditation, there's really no way to learn meditation other than just sitting down and doing it. And working in healthcare, and I worked in emergency room for many, many years. I was used to these adrenaline responses, the fight or flight. People are in a stress response, and observing what happens to the body when we're stressed. And many of us are running around, and I know I have been at many times in my life. Our internal awareness is off. It's in overdrive, and sometimes that can result in high blood pressure. It can result in anxiety, panic, stress disorders, migraine headaches, gut dysbiome, dysbiosis. There's so many things. So one of the things I personally again like to use meditation for, and I'm fascinated with the research behind it, that there is scientific research supporting the benefits of meditation, is because I do believe it's a way for healing. I do think it's very simple things that you can do right in the center of your home, and it's absolutely free. Things that you can begin to do to shift your thoughts, realizing that the thoughts that you're having, that I'm having, that there is energy. There's energy following the thought pattern. And as we begin to reshape that energy, the mind will follow. Healing can occur. The body will begin to transform. So, and another thought to think about is we want to store up as much positive energy into our bodies as possible, so that when there are, stressful times, that we're able to, have that energy bank for real stress. And I do believe that the practice of meditation, and meditation, we'll get into, it is meditation. And it is one way, but seated, observing, meditation, quieting down, becoming an observer of your thoughts, the power of these moments. And also you can even do walking meditation, whatever speaks to you. But I encourage everyone just to begin the journey, get curious about it. And just the thought, our bodies are not meant to live paycheck to paycheck. So we really do, now is the time. If you feel the calling, or you're really, connecting to this message, I hope that you'll just get curious, and start to explore the practice. Would love for anyone here to join me for the upcoming retreat in Joshua Tree, May the 17th through the 19th at Camp Vortex, Mystic Sky Desert Ranch. This will be a really custom curated experience, unplugging, detoxing, recovery for time in the desert, the high desert. And I look forward to sharing in this experience with a very select few. You can find more details on my website or reach out to me directly. I'd like to share a quick quote here that really speaks to me. We all begin the process before we are ready.
before we are strong enough, before we know enough. We begin a dialogue with thoughts and feelings that both tickle and thunder within us. We respond before we know how to speak the language, before we all know the answers, and before we know exactly to whom we are speaking. By Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run with the Wolves. So I am inviting anyone here to learn more about this work, the inner journey, the process through participating in a retreat invites you to take this time, this gift to yourself this year, carve out time, can spend time with me in Joshua Tree. And I am just honored again for all of you listening and participating by being present for this few moments here today.